If you're over 60, your heart has already worked more than 2 billion times for you. 2 billion steady, faithful beats through the ups and downs, the stress, the celebrations, and the quiet mornings. But there's something I see far too often as a heart surgeon. Something that breaks my heart almost every time I see seniors coming into my office, good people, strong folks like you and me, and they never knew. They never knew that one small everyday habit was slowly wearing down their heart. It doesn't hurt at first. There are no sirens, no flashing lights. But over time, it quietly damages your heart until one day. The warning signs come too late. That's why I'm here, not to scare you, but to share the truth. Gently. Today we're going to talk about 10 common habits many of our uncles, aunties, and neighbors have, and how changing just one can help you live longer, stronger, and freer. Segment 1. Move to live. Why skipping exercise is risk. Dreading 10. When we were younger, moving was part of everyday life. We walked to school, worked with our hands, ran after our kids. But many people at our age find themselves moving less and sitting more. Not because we're lazy, but because life slows down. And that quiet stillness can become one of the most overlooked threats to our hearts. Our bodies were designed to move, especially the heart. It's a muscle, and like any muscle, it needs regular use to stay strong. When we don't move enough, blood pressure tends to rise, arteries stiffen, and our risk of heart disease climbs. But here's the good news. Even gentle movement can make a powerful difference. I remember one patient, a sweet woman named Mrs. Linda. She was 72 and had struggled with high blood pressure for years. She wasn't overweight. She didn't smoke. But she spent most days on the couch reading or watching TV. One day after a checkup, I asked her to try something simple, a 15-minute walk in the morning, and another 15 minutes after dinner. That was it. She agreed, a little skeptical, but willing. 6 months later, Linda's blood pressure was down, her energy was up, and her smile. Oh, it was bigger than ever. Doctor, she said, I didn't know how stiff I'd gotten. I feel 10 years younger. You don't need a gym, you don't need fancy equipment. Just start with short walks. Walk around the block. Dance to a song. Stretch your arms and legs during commercials. Little steps lead to big change. Segment 2. The salt trap, hidden sodium's silent damage. Now that you know about the power of movement, let's talk about another silent danger that sneaks into our diets: salt. Not just the salt shaker on the table, but the hidden kind. The kind that lives in canned soups, processed meats, frozen meals, and even breakfast cereal. As we age, our bodies become more sensitive to sodium. Too much salt makes us hold on to water, which raises blood pressure and forces our heart to work harder. Over time, this can lead to heart failure or strokes, often without any warning. Let me tell you about Mr. George, a kind man in his late 60s, a retired postal worker. He came in for a routine checkup. Nothing seemed wrong, but his blood pressure was sky high. But doc, he said I hardly use any salt. And he was right, he didn't. But then we looked at his pantry. Canned chili packaged crackers and TV dinners. Each of those meals had more sodium than his heart could handle in a day. We made small changes, switching to low sodium options. Cooking at home more often, using herbs like rosemary or lemon juice instead of salt. In 3 months, George's numbers improved dramatically, and he said something. I'll never forget. I didn't realize I was feeding my heart trouble every night. The truth is, many of us are, but we can change that. Read labels. Choose fresh over processed when possible. Rinse canned vegetables. These little actions, they're like a love letter to your heart. Segment 3, breakfast matters. Avoiding the morning heart attack. Moving on to a habit many overlook, but causes real harm. What we eat first thing in the morning. You see, the first few hours after waking are critical for your heart. It's when your blood pressure rises naturally to prepare you for the day. If we add a heavy, greasy meal, sausage, bacon, buttery biscuits, we put even more strain on an already busy heart. One of my patients, Henry, had always loved a fast breakfast. He'd stop at the same drive-thru every morning, a sausage sandwich and a hash brown, sometimes 2. He wasn't overweight, didn't smoke, and felt pretty good. Until one morning at 7:30 a.m., he had a heart attack right in his kitchen. Thankfully, he survived. But when we looked at his routine, the morning meals stood out. Heavy saturated fats and simple carbs were spiking his blood sugar and clogging his arteries. His heart, already under morning stress, couldn't keep up. Now breakfast doesn't have to be boring. Henry switched to oatmeal with berries, Greek yogurt with a handful of nuts, and whole grain toast with avocado. Within weeks, he felt more energized, lighter, and safer. You don't need to give up all your favorites, just shift a little. Choose eggs over sausage, add fruit instead of sugary cereal. Your heart will thank you every morning with steady, strong beats. Segment 4. Alcohol and your aging heart. When one glass is too much, from what you eat to how you rest. Here's habit number 4. Something many of us enjoy in moderation, but don't realize has changed meanings as we age: alcohol. Now, I'm not here to tell you to give up your evening wine or that occasional toast at family gatherings, but as we get older, alcohol affects us differently. Our metabolism slows, our liver becomes less efficient, and our heart, especially if already stressed, is more sensitive to alcohol's effects. Even small amounts can increase blood pressure, cause arrhythmias, or disrupt sleep, which also affects the heart. One man I think of often is Frank. Frank was 68, recently retired, and liked to unwind each night with a few drinks, just 2. He'd say a glass of whiskey or wine. He wasn't a heavy drinker by any means, but over time his sleep suffered, his blood pressure crept up, and he began to feel sluggish. I gently suggested he take a 2-week break from alcohol. He hesitated but agreed. 2 weeks turned into 4. His sleep improved, his mood lifted, and his heart rate became more regular. "Doc," he said, "I didn't know how much it was dragging me down. If you drink, do so mindfully. Stick to recommended limits for seniors. That's often just 1 small drink per day, or even less. Or consider a dry period to see how you feel. Your heart may rest easier, and so might you." Segment 5. Don't bottle it up. The heart-stress connection. Let's talk now about something many of us don't think of as a heart issue: stress. Not the kind that comes and goes like a busy day. I'm talking about long-term, silent, bottled-up stress. The kind we carry in our chests and stomachs. The kind we've learned to push through because that's what life taught us. But stress doesn't just live in the mind. It triggers hormones like cortisol and adrenaline that raise our blood pressure, tighten our blood vessels, and make our hearts race. When this happens too often, it wears down the heart. It's like constantly revving an engine without ever letting it rest. I think about a woman named Darlene Lovely, lady 74, active in her church, always smiling. But she came to see me because she felt tired all the time, had chest flutters and trouble sleeping. Her tests, mostly normal. But when we sat and really talked, I found the truth: her husband had passed 2 years ago, and she'd never spoken to anyone about it. She just kept busy. Darlene started journaling each night, joined a support group, and began meditating 5 minutes a day. The change, profound. She said her chest felt lighter, not just physically, but emotionally. We don't have to be stoic all the time. Talk to a friend, write in a notebook, sit quietly with yourself. Your heart listens to your feelings, even the ones you think you've buried. Segment 6, sleep apnea, the nighttime heart threat. Now that we've explored how emotions affect the heart, let's talk about something that happens when we're not even awake: sleep apnea. It's more common than people think, especially as we age, and it often goes unnoticed, but it puts real strain on the heart. Sleep apnea is a condition where breathing briefly stops during sleep, sometimes hundreds of times a night. Each time it happens, oxygen levels drop, and the body jolts itself awake to resume breathing. It's like running a marathon in your sleep. Your heart races, your blood pressure spikes, and you never fully rest. One gentleman. Harold came in because his wife was worried about his snoring, loud gasping snores that often ended with silence, then a big gulp of air. "He sounds like he's drowning in his sleep," she told me. Harold didn't think it was a big deal. He felt tired in the mornings, but chalked it up to age. A sleep study revealed moderate obstructive sleep apnea. We fitted him with a CPAP machine, a small device that helps keep his airway open during sleep. Within weeks, Harold said he had more energy than he'd had in years. His blood pressure improved, and even his mood lifted. If you snore loudly, wake up tired, or fall asleep during the day, it's worth talking to your doctor. A simple test could change and even save your life. Your heart deserves peaceful, steady nights. Segment 7. Quit smoking in secondhand. Smoke your heart's enemies. Next, we come to a habit that many of us already know is harmful smoking. But let's look at it through a heart surgeon's eyes and not just the usual warnings. Smoking doesn't just hurt the lungs. It stiffens the arteries, reduces oxygen in the blood, raises blood pressure, and forces the heart to work harder every minute. But here's something many forget. Secondhand smoke can be just as dangerous, especially for those of us with aging hearts. Even if you've never smoked, being around it daily puts stress on your circulatory system. I remember a woman named Gloria. She never smoked a day in her life, but her husband smoked indoors for years. She developed heart disease and came to me, confused her lifestyle was healthy. She ate well, walked often, but the toxins from secondhand smoke had been quietly attacking her arteries. They quit together, and it became a beautiful turning point in their marriage. They replaced smoke breaks with tea breaks on the porch. They talked more, laughed more. "It saved my heart," she said, "and it saved us too." If you smoke, it's never too late to quit. Medication support groups, even nicotine patches, they all help. And if someone in your home smokes, talk to them gently. Your heart is worth protecting, so is theirs. Segment 8. Screens off heart. On, protect your sleep and heart. We've spoken about smoking and sleep. And now let's look at something more modern. Our screens, phones, tablets, TVs, they've become part of our lives, even in retirement. But here's something many don't realize. Too much screen time, especially before bed, can quietly stress the heart. How blue light from screens disrupts melatonin, the hormone that helps us sleep, and poor sleep raises cortisol. The stress hormone, plus constant news or social media, can stir anxiety even if we don't notice it right away. All of this keeps the heart on high alert when it should be resting. I once had a patient named Alice, 69, a retired teacher who loved watching TV at night. But she'd watch until midnight, sometimes longer, then struggle to sleep. She felt tired during the day. Her blood pressure climbed, and her resting heart rate was unusually high. We made a simple change: no screens 1 hour before bed. Instead, she read a light novel, listened to calming music, and dimmed the lights. After a week, her sleep improved. After a month, so did her energy and her heart rhythms. You don't have to give up your shows. Just set a bedtime for your devices, like you would for a child. Your heart needs that quiet time, too. Time to slow down, recover, and beat calmly through the night. Segment 9, fast food and fried snacks. Hidden heart killers. Now, we move to a temptation many of us know. Well, fast food and fried snacks. They're quick, they're tasty, and they've been part of our routines for decades. But they come with a cost, and our hearts often pay the price. Fried foods are often loaded with trans fats, salt, and sugar, a triple threat. These ingredients trigger inflammation in the body, raise cholesterol, and make arteries sticky and narrow. Over time, they can lead to blocked vessels and heart attacks. One patient I'll never forget is Carl. He worked construction most of his life and loved drive-through burgers and fries. Been eating them since the 70s, he told me proudly. But at 65, he was hospitalized with chest pain. His arteries were nearly 90% blocked. After surgery, we talked. I told him, "You don't have to give up flavor, just shift where it comes from." We found healthier swaps he liked: baked sweet potatoes instead of fries, grilled chicken instead of fried homemade chili with beans and lean meat. He even started cooking with his granddaughter, and that, he said, was the best part. "Never thought I'd be a salad guy." Carl laughed, but here I am. You don't need to be perfect just aware. Add more color to your plate, cut back a little on the grease, and your heart will feel lighter, truly. Segment 10. Don't skip your meds, high blood pressure's deadliest risk. Now we come to perhaps the most silent, yet most dangerous habit of all: forgetting or choosing to skip our heart medications, especially those for high blood pressure. It might feel harmless. Maybe you ran out. Maybe you felt fine. Maybe you just didn't think it was urgent. But uncontrolled high blood pressure is known as the silent killer for a reason. It doesn't cause pain. It doesn't cause coughing or sneezing. But slowly, steadily, it damages your blood vessels. It can lead to stroke, heart failure, kidney problems, all without you knowing, until one day your heart simply can't keep up. Let me share the story of Thomas, a soft-spoken man who was 71 when he came into the ER. He had collapsed at home while watering the lawn. When he woke up in the hospital, his wife was at his side, terrified. His blood pressure had spiked dangerously high, causing a mini stroke. When I asked him about his medications, he hesitated. "Well, Doc, I stopped a few months ago. I felt okay, so I figured I didn't need them. It was an honest mistake, one I've seen too many times. Medications for high blood pressure don't make you feel better. They help your body stay balanced. When you stop, the effects are invisible until they're not." After recovery, we worked with Thomas on a system, a pill organizer, reminders on his phone. His daughter even checked in once a week. And Thomas, he never missed a dose again. He lived to walk his granddaughter down the aisle and proudly told me about it during a follow-up visit. Please don't skip your meds. If you're having side effects, talk to your doctor. If you forget sometimes, use tools to help. Your heart can't afford to miss its daily support, not at our age. Your heart has carried you through a lifetime, through laughter, tears, love, and change. Now it's time to carry it with care. These habits we've talked about, they're not judgments, they're chances. Chances to give your heart a little more peace, a little more help, a little more love. You don't have to change everything overnight. Start with one thing. Maybe it's a short walk each morning, a healthy breakfast, or finally getting that sleep study done. Each step forward is a gift to your future. Imagine the years ahead, more holidays with family, more quiet afternoons on the porch, more time with the people who matter most. Your heart beats for them too. And if you need a little help along the way, there are tools and apps out there that can gently remind and encourage you. But most importantly, you've got the power to care for your heart. Starting today, stay strong, stay safe, and let's keep your heart beating healthy every day.